Tokyo reported a record number of coronavirus infections yesterday, more than 280, which by European or American standards might appear to be small, but it's actually is a record high number of coronavirus infections. I think it's fair to say that coronavirus is spreading still in Tokyo and probably all over Japan. Now, the government's policy seems to be really confused because the government is pushing for this GoTo campaign. Well, GoTo is typically Japanese way of clumsy English usage, which the public actually love because the public can make fun of the government for for that. And so this GoTo campaign is when the government is recommending people to go to, many tourist attractions like onsen ryokans, and local hotels and restaurants and so on, because the tourism industry is suffering from this pandemic. Remember, we were supposed to host the Tokyo Olympics, and it was expected that many people would come from all over the world to see the competitions and enjoy trips in Japan. So many establishments were actually investing heavily, banking on this influx of tourists from all over the world. But what happened, and so it's reported that many hotels and restaurants in various parts of the world, Japan, as well as the tourism companies, they are in a dire state of economic crisis. That's what I hear. So the government wants to remedy that with this GoTo campaign, where government would reimburse you for going to somewhere, like if you go to Hokkaido and get into a hot spring and enjoy local food at restaurants, the government would pay, I think, 50% of that cost. And that's amazingly, there's no upper limit. So as far as you can, keep traveling, you can get a really nice chunk of money from the government. But obviously, this is strange, isn't it? Because we are in a state where the infection is spreading still, and you don't need to be super clever to realize what would happen if you encourage people to go around, because that would mean that the virus will be spread too. So people are confused. Why is the government doing this? And interestingly, I think the government is also confused. In Japanese politics, there's not really such colorful characters like President Trump. He's doing all this himself. I mean, he's making statements and he's releasing policies, often through his Twitter feeds, and so we know who is responsible. In the case of U.S. politics, but in Japan, I think decision takings take more on a collective level. So, of course, there are some, conspicuous political figures like some ministers and but at the end of the day, everything is, I think, more or less determined on a collective basis, on the organizational level. So there's no one to blame actually, except for the government as a whole. So this confusion, the government's GoTo campaign at this second wave of infection, and this really is confusing some people, including myself. I don't know what they're up to, but I understand the government wants to help the tourism industry, and that part I understand that. But probably they can do that by giving cash to the affected establishments. That's only common sense. But Instead, the government wants to encourage people to move around in Japan, and they insist that it is possible not to spread the virus while you are traveling, which really, you know, puzzles me. So, uh, even the meek and silent Japanese population, they are making noise, and even the pro-government media are criticizing the move, which is fair. So, I think it'll be a really nice material for comedy. But as you know, sarcastic political comedy is virtually unknown in Japan. So I'm doing some experimentation with this situation, comedy-wise, in my Japanese YouTube channel. Anyways, that's the status quo, and I'll I'll probably report more on that when situations change. But that's from Japan. From Tokyo, Ken Mogi, reporting on current affairs of what is happening in Japan right now. Stay safe and happy.